If you're a parent trying to pick the right basketball team for your child, you're not alone. And let's be honest, it's harder than ever. Club versus school, exposure versus development, hype versus real coaching. In this video, we'll give you 10 must-know tips from coaches Jim Huber and Mark Brase to help you cut through the noise and choose a team that's the right fit, not just the flashiest option. Because the team you pick can shape your child's experience, their confidence, and their future in the game. Before we get to the video, be sure to click the link in the description to get free access to another full webinar on 5 key roles of sports parents. Now let's get started.
What are some qualities of a great basketball team or program? And to start with, we're talking about maybe qualities of a youth team or program, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, my first thing I'm looking for are they teaching kids how to play? Not a bunch of plays, right? Not a bunch of like systems that they're implementing and following. So again, are they teaching them how to play on the offensive end, the floor, kind of, concepts, right? Spacing and playing. Are they teaching them, defensively how to play in the situation? So I think that's the biggest thing for me, because I see a lot of organizations running a lot of plays, running a lot of continuity offense. Maybe they're running like a flex. Well, that might be great, but my son might go to a high school and that coach doesn't run any of that type of stuff. But if I can have my son go into the program where they understand concepts of how to play on the offensive end of the floor, like motion space concepts, now whatever they run, they can be successful in it because they have principles and know how to play. That would be one. The other one, I go back, we talk about this a lot, Coach, is positionless basketball. I mean, I don't know how many times I see in youth where a kid is just bigger and they're put in the post and all they do is rebound, stick back. They don't dribble it. They don't handle the ball much. They don't shoot it much. And they get away with it because they matured at a young age, right? But as they get into high school, some of the kids that have matured, they start growing. They're skilled basketball players. And these bigger kids that were big at one time now don't have the skills. So now they're like an undersized big. 6'6", 6'1", 4 or 5 man. You're going to have a hard time succeeding, especially at really good high schools. So that would be something if someone's like, hey, he's the 1 guard, he's the 2 guard, he's the 3, he's the 4, he's the 5. No, like I teach like, hey, we're all positionless, catch a turn, look, up the floor, space and play, that type of stuff. Now, are you going to have teams where they have, Mark's a primary ball handler, a dead ball situation, you might bring it up. Yeah, that's going to happen. But you don't want that the entire game. That would be one.
Jim Huber, the coach in this video, is the director of coach development and lead instructor for Breakthrough Basketball Camps. He has over 20 years of coaching experience at all levels and has won 45 coaching championships. He's used this knowledge and experience to create the top-notch curriculums that we use at our hundreds of camps across the country. Thousands of boys and girls from 1st through 12th grade have benefited from the elite coaching provided at our camps. At Breakthrough, we pride ourselves on our commitment to developing campers as athletes and as people. Learn more about our camps at the link in the description below.
And then also zone defenses. I mean, I don't know, I get this a lot with the teams we play in youth. There are so many zones. Zones, I'm talking about 3rd grade, 4th grade, these young ages. And, Europe, Egypt, and many different countries do not allow zones until high school because it stunts the development of growth. I mean, so man-to-man principles, teach them how to guard on the ball, 1 pass away, 2 pass away, help recover, closing out, blocking out, getting into fighting through down screens, back screens, right, ball screens, handoffs, defense transition. These things can transition into high school because they're principles that no matter what the high school coach teaches, whether it's man or zone, now that child is going to be able to have success because they're going to be a lot more ahead of a lot of kids that don't understand. So that's like a couple. Then the other one's practices. What are the practices like? Do they have a good flow to it? Do they have practice plans that they come with, the coaches? I mean, is there skill development that's built into it? Are the kids moving? They're getting reps in? And again, is it a progression of concepts, offensive concepts, defensive concepts, and there's a plan in place. And also too, it's like, I think for coaches, for parents, is it enjoyable for the kids? Because if they're going and it's a dread and they don't want to go, and they like, you have to force them to go to practice, they're eventually going to quit. So I'm not saying to play for somebody that never has any discipline, accountability, but if they're doing it in such a way that the kids are miserable, you got to find something else that a coach is having fun. There's joy, there's passion in what they do in teaching kids. Another one I would say, don't chase mistakes, coaches. If you have a coach that's like always on them about their mistakes, don't let them play present, right? And the coaches are coaching that way and they don't have a growth mindset to it. I think that's something you got to look at. And before I say one more thing, we can add things, we go, but you got to play for a coach that has a long-term approach, long-term growth, not short-term. Not, hey, winning trophies and medals in the third, fourth grade, and we'll do a short-term fix to get there. I want a coach that's going to have a long-term growth approach. The development over time to have these kids become better basketball players, better people, so they have an opportunity to play when they get in high school. And so those are a few. I don't know if you have anything to add. I'm going to have more, but that's just kind of a start.
Well, and again, I think everything you said right there really ties in with the whole approach of you didn't mention trophies and medals and their winning percentage and things like that, because really none of that should factor in at all. And obviously we're all trying to win and we want them to win, and that's the goal going on the court, but that's not the primary purpose of the team and finding that team as well.
Well, if you're in that win at all costs where you have a coach that maybe they're playing their kids, but it comes to like bracket play, comes to like championship game, and they don't play 5 kids, and they don't play like the kids just sitting on the bench, or they're bringing in new kids constantly, right? You're looking like, where'd this kid come from? Where'd that kid come from? Never show up for practice, and he's out of game. Like if they're at that win at all cost mentality, I'm looking for something different. And I think it's key for you as parents, find out what's the personality of the coach. Does it fit my child personality? Right? Because you know how it is. Children's and homes are all kind of different, their personalities, right? And it could be a coach that personality doesn't fit your child, right? And you might have to find that too. And asking those type of questions to figure out, what type of coach they are. And again, is my child going to develop and grow and enjoy the journey being with this coach in this program?
Oh, exactly. And I think it is a little bit easier. The obvious part is, if they play on a team for a year, then it becomes a little bit more obvious with you see what happens out there. I mean, going into it, it's a little tougher for parents. After the first year, like you said, I mean, are the kids having fun? Are they enjoying it? Are they looking forward to going to practice in the games? You can see the interaction. I mean, I've seen coaches at the youth level, second, third grade, where they're playing in leagues where there's teams are being pressed and the point guard turns it over and they pull the point guard out and they just start screaming at them until they're in tears.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously some of those things become evident, when they're on the team, sometimes less evident before you've kind of gone into that season. But like you said, if they're not enjoying it, they're not looking forward to practice or going back the next year, that's a little evidence there as well.
Well, and I see that too, where like you mentioned about the example of the kid getting pressured and turning it over. Our coach is putting kids in situations where they can't succeed, right? Because you'll see that, and then yell and scream at a kid like that situation. Are we coming back to the basketball? Are we helping? Are we maybe setting a screen to get out of the pressure, a ball screen? Or are you maybe being able to pass it like they have a really good guard? It's tough for anyone to beat. Okay, I'm going to give it to maybe one of my bigger kids that can handle it, and the defender really can't guard them full court. What are you doing to help kids? And I think like you mentioned too, is like parents, be observant at practices, again, watch. See, you're not instructing your kid at games, that type of stuff. But it's like, I'm observing to see, okay, does this make sense? Is this the best thing for our child and our family? And you can see those things if you're present, if you're aware and you're around it.
Yeah, and like you said, knowing your kid's personality, you should have a good feel for kind of what kind of fits with them as well. And you want to make sure it is a good fit. You don't want to set them up to be unhappy or fail as well. So I'd agree with that. How about for looking for qualities of a program for a high school player, which again, probably not as common because you have a lot of high school programs where you're simply, the high school is your high school, but you also have high schools out there where, there's open enrollment and kids kind of pick and choose. So what advice would you have for parents there?
Yeah, I mean, I tell parents, quite a bit. They'll ask me like, where should I go even around this area? And I'll tell them, I said, hey, do not just pick the school based on the basketball program or the coach, because you have to look at everything involved in it. The school, what is the community like? Does it fit my child? Right. What's academically, what does that look like? Right. The structure of it. And again, to support my child, and that is give him or her what they need to go to where they want to go. Because we talked about, Mark, it's like when you look at scholarships, it's a higher percent academic than it is athletic. And then if things fit and it fits for our family to be able to go to the school, right? Costs of, private education, or it could be like transportation, how far away from your home, whatever it might be. I'm then looking at, okay, the program. What is the program about? What are their core values? What is their philosophy in offense, defense? Does it fit my child? Right? Their strengths. And I'm also looking like the program in general. Is there an opportunity for my child to be able to play and progress in it? Are you going to a place that you go and he or she might play as a freshman, but then get cut as a sophomore JV, because it's not like the opportunities maybe aren't going to be there. So you got to be thinking of that. And I'm also looking at, again, the coaching. Who's the coaching staff? Who are they? And what is their personal development strategy? How are they developing my child in their program to become better people, but then better basketball players? Like not only in the season, what are they doing outside the season? Right? If basketball is one of your main focus, developing our skills, right? Becoming a better basketball player. And what position are you? How do they use that position? Because again, the system strategies that they have could make a difference on that as well. It's going to be the benefit for your child. And I'm also asking people in the community that have maybe played for that program, what has their experience been? What has it been like? Right? Finding that out with parents, because they'll be honest with you. So doing research on that, and kind of like the teammates, who are you going to play with? Do they play a philosophy that kids play together and they support each other? Is it a program they're more about the top kids and the other kids get treated not well? There's just a lot of things you have to look at, think about as you go through this.
And a lot of that, what you're saying, reminds me of, when I coached a little Division III college of basketball, and in high school, when you have kids going to some of the lower, Division IIIs, those kids aren't usually going on to the NBA. And they're not sure if they're even going to finish playing a college sport, but either being recruited or whatnot. And one of the pieces of advice that I always give them was, are you going to be happy at this college or school if you're not doing that sport?
Yeah.
Because that might not be the only factor, but they do have to consider that a little bit. Hey, some injury happens. There's lots of things that can happen. Is this still a good fit for me? Will I be happy at this school, without that?
We hope you enjoyed this sports parenting video. If you want instant access to a webinar on 5 key roles of sports parents, make sure to click the link in the description below. Be sure to click and subscribe, and then click the bell button so you're the first to know when we release more new videos. Thanks for watching.